In 1 Kings chapter 10, King Solomon's fame spread far beyond Israel. His wisdom and the Lord's name reached distant lands. Among those who hear of him is the Queen of Sheba, a ruler from a far country. She travels to Jerusalem to see if the reports are true. The Queen of Sheba arrives with a great caravan. Camels are loaded with spices, gold, and precious stones. When she meets Solomon, she tests him with difficult questions, seeking to understand the depth of his wisdom. Solomon answers all her questions. Nothing is too hard for him to explain. As she observes the kingdom, the queen is overwhelmed. She sees the palace Solomon has built. She sees the food served at his table, the seating of his officials, and the organization of his servants. She notices the cupbearers and offerings Solomon presents at the temple. Everything reflects order, wealth, and excellence. The queen tells Solomon that the reports she heard were true. The reality is even greater than she expected. She declares that Solomon's wisdom and prosperity surpass everything she had been told. She also recognizes that this blessing comes from the Lord, who has placed Solomon on the throne to rule with justice and righteousness. The Queen of Sheba presents her gifts to Solomon: 120 talents of gold, a great quantity of spices, and precious stones. Never again, the chapter notes, did such an amount of spices come into Israel as those brought by the queen. In return, Solomon gives her all she desires and more according to his royal generosity. After this exchange, the Queen of Sheba returns to her own land, having witnessed the greatness of Solomon's kingdom. The chapter then describes the vast wealth that flows into Solomon's kingdom year after year. Solomon receives 666 talents of gold annually, not including income from merchants and traders. With this wealth, Solomon makes 200 large shields of hammered gold and 300 smaller shields. These are placed in the house of the forest of Lebanon. He also constructs a magnificent ivory throne overlaid with gold. It has 6 steps leading up to it. On each side of the steps are lions, and 12 lions stand on the steps themselves. All of Solomon's drinking vessels are made of gold, and nothing is made of silver, because silver is considered of little value. His fleet of ships sailing with the servants of Hiram brings gold, silver, ivory, apes, and peacocks from distant lands. King Solomon becomes greater in wealth and wisdom than all the kings of the earth. People from every nation come to hear his wisdom, bringing gifts of silver, gold, garments, weapons, spices, horses, and mules year after year. Solomon also builds up his military strength. He gathers chariots and horsemen, stationing them in chariot cities and in Jerusalem. Horses are imported from Egypt and from Kuwait, showing the expanding reach of his trade and influence. By the end of the chapter, Solomon stands at the height of his power. His wisdom is unmatched, his wealth is overflowing, and his fame has spread across the world. Yet within all this success lies an important turning point. The chapter shows how greatly God has blessed Solomon, but it also begins to hint at the dangers of wealth, power, and influence. The question that quietly remains is whether Solomon will continue to walk faithfully with the Lord. Next comes 1 Kings chapter 11, where Solomon's heart is tested as foreign influences begin to lead him away from the Lord.